All right, we still have another minute or so, but I figure I'm already set and ready to go. But as we get people jump on here, I'll start it here in a second. But is there anything anybody wants to talk about specifically tonight? Um, I know the market went crazy today, so I will address that. But if there's anything in particular somebody wants me to talk about, feel free to put that in the chat. And I can go ahead. I've got a minute or two here before we get started, so I can answer any questions anybody has. The other thing too is as we get closer to people retiring here in the summer, my calendar does get a little full. So if for any reason anybody wants to try to meet up with me or talk to me, um, I'll try to expand the calendar a little bit. I know it's not always as easy to get a hold of me, but in any event, we can talk a little bit about that. Um, Otherwise, it's 4:15. A little countdown stop. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm sure there'll be a few more people jump on. There were approximately 100 people registered for tonight. I think it just was shy of 100. So I know last week's, for those of you who tried to jump on, it was booked. But anyhow, let's go ahead and jump in. Always exciting here to let me, let me get first. Uh, I always think that I hold these most Wednesdays, and for those of you who have been on more than one of these, the subject matter does roll a little bit. But I always think if I do two back to back that are similar, that I won't have anything to talk about. That has not been the case this year, primarily because of Trump. But neither good or bad. I'm just saying that every week I go to do this, there is something that is affecting you as a soon-to-be retiree. So, yeah, we'll address some of those, some good, some bad, some indifferent, but we're here to help you avoid the potholes in retirement. All right, so one of the things I like to do is figure out who is in the investment plan, who's in the pension plan. The main reason why I like to do that is, and for those of you in the investment plan, you know darn right well what I'm getting ready to say here. But if you're on the investment plan, you have taken on all of the risk of your retirement on yourself. Now, there's pros and cons of that, but as you've seen over the last week, with the market going down almost 15% or more, depending on what you owned, that does not feel good. And I was with people back in 2008. I've been doing this almost for 3 decades. So I have seen some of these ups and downs. If that was enough to scare you, you may have just been thrown a lifeline today. And I would say if you're looking to retire soon, talk to your advisor, talk to us, because you need to sort of circle the wagons on this thing. Tomorrow could go right back down. So you just don't know with the market being this way, but we'll share with you some of the tools that we have available for you if you want to take advantage of them to help you through this. But if you're on the pension plan, now you pretty much kick your feet up. Now, you may have a 403B that's in the market, but by and large, your pension is going to be paid out whether the market's up or down, right? So that's no big issue. The big issue is for the 55% of you that are watching me tonight on the investment plan, because you are taking a lot of risk. Over the long term, you get paid more, but when it comes to your pension, a lot of folks just don't want the risk. So, yeah, we'll talk a little about that as well. So a couple of disclosures. One is that I am an investment advisor, fiduciary. Again, I've been working with teachers now for almost 3 decades. So I know the FRS system pretty well. I also have firefighters, teachers, and police officers, anybody in the FRS system, in some counties and things like that. But by and large, I do not work for FRS. All right. So if you are attending this, I am independent. I do not work for the FRS system. And two more things. One is I'm not a CPA. We're not going to talk too much about taxes tonight. I have other workshops that we do talk taxes, but not tonight. And also we'll do some estate planning things. So I wanted to let you know the email I sent out to everybody. at the bottom of it contained the link to the estate planning attorney, and he did a specific one for you if you're in the FRS system, which all of you are. So he did one 45-minute presentation just for you. And it's the ins and outs of estate planning. And he also gives it goes into a little bit if you have it if you ever need a special needs trust, things like that. So do you need a will? Do you not need a will? Do you need a living trust? Do you not need a living trust? Who's your surrogate? Who's going to take care of you? Things like that. So my suggestion is if you get a chance, go back and read that or watch it. And if you have any questions or you want to set up a time with him, he's done my own trust. So he is very, very good at this, and he's actually done 2 trusts for me, and he will give you a discount. All right, so if price is an issue, he said he'll work with you. He knows that I work with teachers. You guys aren't making $5 million a year, at least none of the ones that I'm working with, but he will help you out and get you a discount. He's really doing it to help you out. So please take advantage of that. So let's go over here. 2 free resources that we do offer. The first free resource is we do a income planning. We provide you with income planning because retirement all comes down to how much money is coming in the door and how much money is going out. Your investments are great to know what kind of investments you have, but it all starts with knowing if you have a surplus, meaning you can spend a little more, or if you have a deficit, which means you're going to have to cut your expenses. So for those of you who haven't done that, feel free to take advantage of our resources. Our staff will help you put that together. And the second part of that is your when to take Social Security. I 95% of folks get this wrong, and they get it wrong thinking they've done it right, only to find out that once you set this up, you can't go back. All right. So we're going to talk about things tonight that you have to get right when you retire, because if you get it wrong, there's no do-overs. All right. So I'm glad you're on this workshop, but I see a lot of folks making little modifications to their retirement that has serious ramifications down the road. So I'm glad you're getting this information now, but Social Security is one of those. You have to get it right. And it's difficult. Like, for instance, if you're married, who takes theirs first? Why do you take one first? Who should take theirs second? We go into all that if you get or schedule time with us. We'll walk you through that. And really, we just figure out when the best time is for you and your family. All right. So if you are a widower or a widow, we'll figure that into the calculation as well. I've done close to 1,000 of these, my staff and I. So we're here to help you out and get through some of these potholes. All right. So some of the top 5 things that you face in retirement. Outside of getting an ulcer because you're worried about your accounts these days. We'll talk a little bit about your pension benefits, your health insurance, Social Security, your retirement savings, your 403Bs, things like that. And lifestyle changes. And also, I want to add just a little blurb on that part as far as taxes go, because we do offer some tax. I was a tax preparer. So we do help folks try to figure out how to minimize their taxes in retirement. So it's important now, because now that the market has come down quite a bit, some folks need to sell some of their stocks if it's in a taxable account. Anyhow, I'll get into that a little bit, but now is a good time to look at this, because remember, every dollar you can save in taxes, another dollar you can spend in retirement. So there are tax efficient strategies that we use for educators. And I want to kind of share that with you and help you, set some things up for down the road. All right. So number one thing that most retirees are afraid of is running out of money. And that's especially on the investment plan. Again, if you're on the pension plan, you're not going to run out of money. You're going to get Social Security, you're going to get pension, assuming state of Florida doesn't go bankrupt. So that's going to cover you about 70%. And the other 30% is going to be whatever savings you have as far as your base pay and things like that. But running out of money is a really big concern. And what we do is that, again, there's tax efficient ways of doing this, but we really want to make sure that you are covered through retirement. And it's not a matter of saying that you've got $3,000 a month in bills and you need $3,000 a month and you only have $3,000 a month coming in, because you're going to end up with a shortfall. So this is talking about more of your investments, and how you can structure those. All right. And by the way, it's one thing if you want to go live with your kids later in life because you love them, you want to be your grandkids, whatever the case is. It's another if you have to because you're running short on money. And trust me, I've seen both. So pension benefits. I like covering this real quick because, again, I talked about if you're on the investment plan, you're taking more of the risk. But not only that, but you're also getting paid less. So if you were on the pension plan, everybody in the state of Florida, by the way, this comes off of state of Florida's website, FRS. Everybody that works for the state that's in FRS pays in 3%. All right, that's this column here. You guys are in the regular column. So your employer, for most of you different school districts, counties, things like that, they're putting in 13.5% in addition to the 3% that comes out of your paycheck. So you're getting about 16.5% if you're on the pension plan. Now, if you are on the investment plan, you're not getting 16.5%. You're getting the 3%. Remember, everybody down the road gets, or down the line gets 3% taken out. But now on the investment plan, they're only matching 8.3%. So that's 5% less than if you were in the pension plan. All right. So that's important to know. You're getting paid 5% less, but you are taking 100% more risk. All right. And in the weeks that have passed here recently, that doesn't feel good because you're not getting rewarded, um, especially when the market starts getting a little jittery here as you get closer to retirement. And we'll talk about some strategies you can do to kind of mitigate that. But I always like this. If you work for the governor's office, lieutenant governor, things like that, 62, 65% of your salary goes into your pension plan. So not a bad gig, and they get paid that the rest of their life. Anyhow, I don't want to get too far afield on that. This presentation usually lasts about 45 minutes, but if I start getting on too many tangents, it could last 4.5 hours. So we'll try to keep it to a minimum. Again, if you're on the investment plan, this shouldn't be anything new that you've seen here. Again, this is coming from FRS's website. And 9 out of 10 people choose one of these retirement date funds. And it gets more aggressive the further out you go, and it's less aggressive the closer the retirement date. So if you were somebody that's going to retire this year, more likely you're in this 25 fund, the FRS 2025, which just means that they've taken the appropriate amount of risk for somebody that's going to retiring here in 2025. And really that just comes down to the bond stock mix. So again, you've got some others here that are available to you, but 9 out of 10 people I talk to, they are using these investment funds. All right, so what do you have available to you for income in retirement? I didn't see anybody on my list of people that signed up today that is not getting Social Security. Everybody here had the basically 10 years of work service. So that's going to equal anywhere between 50 and 60%. I say up to 80, but usually 50, 60% is going to come from Social Security. Your pension, if you're in the pension plan, actually, let me take a quick drink. I keep clearing my throat. If you're on the pension plan, again, 20, 25% is going to come in, maybe 50% if you're a 30-year plus seasoned teacher. But those two combined are going to equal about 80 to 85% of your base salary, depending on years worked. And then your personal savings or your 403bs, things like that, are going to come into play. So these are all the things that you are going to be earning money from. Sometimes people work part-time, they go back to the district and substitute, things like that. Rental income, I don't have too many people that do that. However, it does help if you have a rental property paid off and you're collecting a little bit of income for that. And then on the investment options, so there's only three, right? You can get growth, and there's only three buckets. And I like to use these as three different buckets. No matter what you have as far as investments go, they are in one of these buckets. Growth and liquid, on those, think stocks. You can sell a stock today, get the money out. It's very, very liquid. And typically we use stocks for growth. Now, for us, we like to use stocks for income. But again, hold that thought. But this is typically, even if you're using it for income, they are liquid. All right. Protected and liquid. Think of these as CDs. They are liquid. You can always sell them back to the bank or financial institution that issued them. You may or may not get some of the interest accrued. Depends on the bank whether or not they have that provision or not. But they are protected. If the market crash, if you've had a CD and you bought that 3 weeks ago, did your CD go down in value? No, your CDs are very safe, right? And protected and growth. Think of these as structured products. Most of you are able to use tax shelter annuities, 403bs. Annuities are one of those that are structured, meaning that it will go up with the market, but not down. So that's a good thing. In a bad market, you don't want to lose money, but at the same time, you want to participate in growth, right? So think of structured products. We also have structured notes, which is similar to CD, except they're issued by financial institutions, and the interest rates on those are anywhere from 6 to 12%, depending on what clients' needs are. So again, that's structured products, protected, and growth. All right. I like showing this not because it's super busy, and if you've got a small computer screen or you're watching from your phone, you probably can't read this. But what it shows you is on the left, if somebody retires and the market goes up when they retire, in this illustration, it lasts them 36 years. Your money lasts 36 years. The one on the right is the exact same thing. They're taking out the exact same amount of money. The only difference here is if they retired and the market went down initially when they retired, down 15%. We're not even saying that the market went down more than 15%. But if you retire, you start with $1 million, the market goes down 15% year one, your money only lasts you 23 years. The average return on these are identical. My point here is if you're not careful when you first retire and we hit a hiccup or a speed bump, you could, in theory, shorten the amount of time that you can take money out of your investments. And we want to try to avoid that at all costs, right? There are ways to do that. I just want to illustrate to you that it can happen. This is one of the things that we'll do for you if you decide to talk with us. This is part of your income plan. But really, what is it? We just put in your numbers and it says, okay, if you want to spend X and you're making Y and your Social Security is this, what is your chance of success in retirement? And it takes in account your lifespan. And in this instance, it's not good, right? It's only 9%. But if you do this prior to retiring, at least you can make some adjustments. So this is where it all comes down to taking a little bit more time. You took some time, and I'm sure you haven't not only seen my workshop, but I'm sure you've seen others and talked to other people. But this is where you can make adjustments, whether you've got 1 month to go or whether or not you've got 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. This is where it all comes together, and this gives you a quick snapshot of all your numbers, and it says, hey, we need to make changes, or hey, you know what? When you retire, things are going to look good. So 9% is not good. You want it in the green band. You want at least 80%. And if it's not an 80%, we need to figure out how to get you an 80%. All right. And again, this is one of the free things that will work with you if you decide to do that. Healthcare. Now, one of the questions I always get, one of the top probably three questions is, if you retire before you're 65, what do you do? Well, I just got the sheet. I live here in Palm Beach County. I just got the sheet for Palm Beach County, and it's United Healthcare. So if you're prior to 65, you can continue your current healthcare. All right. It will cost you about $650 a month for the non-HMO United Healthcare here in Palm Beach County. Again, every county's got its own little worksheet, but you can retire even if you retired at 58. Let's say that you went and you started teaching or became an educator at 25, and now you're 55 years old and you've got your 30 years in, and you're like, you know what, I can't take it no more. I need out. You can retire and pick up the school district's healthcare again at $650 a month, and you could carry that for 10 years. It's not cheap to do that, but if you're worried about healthcare, it is available to you. All right. Now, when you turn 65, you will get a Medicare either supplement or Medicare Advantage. You are eligible, assuming you've worked over 10 years, which I'm going to assume everybody here has. So, there's two things when you get Medicare. First off, Part A is free. When you turn 65, whether you're still working in the district or not, they advise everybody to go ahead and sign up for Part A, which you need to do, right? So Part A is free. Don't worry about it. Sign up for it. It's not a cost. Part B is a cost. Part B for 2025 is $185 a month. All right. Now, how does that get paid? That comes out of your Social Security. Again, I'm gonna throw a lot of stuff out right now. If you ever want to come back, I record these. You can always come back and watch these. You'll get the link here probably tomorrow, and you can come back and watch this anytime you want. But it's $185. It comes out of your Social Security. You say, well, I'm not taking Social Security yet. How does that work? CMS, which is the provider for Medicare, the government agency that provides Medicare, will bill you 3 months in advance. So you will get a bill for about $480, $475, somewhere in that ballpark, and you'll have to pay that out of pocket, and that will pay for your Part B, as in boy. Because once you start Social Security, it automatically comes out. But if you're not taking Social Security, you have to prepay that 3 months in advance. All right. So don't be surprised if you get a little bill from the government for $450, $480, give or take. So you'll have that. Now, which do you pick? All right. This is the easiest thing. And by the way, when you turn 65, for those of you who are 65 or have already turned 65, you know you'll get 5 trees worth of mail telling you why you should sign up for somebody's Medicare. I can ask you one simple question, and it'll determine what type of plan you need to get, whether you get an Advantage plan or whether you get traditional Medicare. And that is this. Remember when a couple slides ago we looked at the budget and we saw a lot of red? One of the things you can do in order to mitigate a lot of the costs of Medicare is go on the Advantage plans. Advantage plans are very inexpensive. All right. We're just talking cost here. We're not talking about whether or not you should do it, but it is very inexpensive. If you are on a very tight budget in retirement, you may have to go with the Advantage plan by default. Again, if you've got questions, we're more than happy to talk to you about it. This workshop's not designed for this. But the Medicare supplement, now, if you can afford it, you get the Medicare supplement. Most Medicare Advantage plans are $0 out of pocket. That doesn't mean that it costs you $0 per year to be a part of it, because the way it works is similar to an HMO. So you'll have out-of-pocket deductibles. You'll have max deductibles, which a max deductible typically for a Medicare Advantage plan is going to be in the neighborhood of $4,000, $5,000. That's the max out of pocket. For the Medicare supplement, And by the way, Medicare covers 80% of your bills. You're only worried about the 20% Medicare does not cover. All right. So I'll give you an illustration because my father was just in the hospital and had to have heart just this past week. Matter of fact, I just flew back 2 days ago because anyhow, I'll tell you, I'll share that story. But the Medicare supplement, you're paying to cover that 80% or 20% that Medicare does not. All right. So if you go in a hospital, let's say the bill is $20,000, your portion of it without Medicare, I'm sorry, with Medicare, no supplement, would be $4,000. Some people get it, some people don't, but everybody does get Medicare. And you do not get a prescription drug plan, that's extra. You do not get a vision plan, that's extra. You do not get a dental plan, that is extra. All right, so you've got a couple of things here that you got to be aware of, but it all comes down to budgeting. You can get, by the way, the Cadillac plan right now is Plan G, is in golf. If Plan G is too expensive, we can move down a plan, which is Plan N, as in Nancy. It's about 20% less. It doesn't cover everything like Plan G does, but we really, the hierarchy goes, we try to figure out your budget, but if you can afford it, we can do Plan G. If it's close, we do maybe Plan N. And if it's really just can't be attainable, we're going to do the Medicare Advantage plan. So you say, well, how much is a Medicare supplement? Here in Florida, it's a little bit more costly than it is outside of Florida. Here in Palm Beach County and Broward County and Miami-Dade, the rate is based on the number of people who are using Medicare or taking advantage of Medicare Advantage or Medicare plans in the county. So it's priced. So if you're in a county that has a lot of people that are on Medicare in your county, your price goes up. That's the way they do it. Whether or not that's the right way to do it or not, I'll leave you to determine that. But that's the pricing model that they use. So here in Palm Beach County, you can expect to pay roughly $250 a month, roughly, for Plan G. Again, it's about $180, $190 for Plan N. And again, if the Medicare Advantage plan is something you have to do, then it is typically zero out of pocket per month. Again, if you go see a doctor, you pay, but the monthly charge is typically zero. All right. I don't want to get too far into this. I have a whole nother workshop just on Medicare. And feel free, again, if you have questions, pop those in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer as we go. I usually have a few minutes here at the end to answer questions as well. Just keep in mind, the Medicare, once you, this is kind of one of those one and done type deals. You set up your Medicare, you pick a plan, you've got 2 years to go back to traditional Medicare. If you went on the Advantage route, you can go back to traditional Medicare. Past that 2-year window, you have to go through underwriting. So if you get cancer, and by the way, there's an article in this Wall Street Journal not too long ago, a couple months ago. Guy got cancer. It was past the 2-year period. His Medicare Advantage plan, he didn't like the doctors there. He wanted to get back on Medicare. He was denied. Right? So this is the other consideration, is that your physicians may or may not be on an Advantage plan if you go the inexpensive route. All right. And by the way, there's nothing that says your doctor is going to continue on Medicare Advantage either. They hop off these plans all the time. They're new doctors. They typically will do them. They get paid less, but they also, once they grow their practice, they don't like getting dinged or getting paid less. So a lot of times they will drop the Advantage. So just be aware of that. That's some of the things that happen kind of behind the scenes. You probably, no salesperson that you talk to for insurance is going to tell you that. So anyhow, just be careful. A couple of things. One is that you do get a health insurance subsidy. You have to be 62 years old to collect. This is some of the things that, again, with me, you get a lot of these nuances that you typically would not know about, but you have to be 62 to collect. If you retire, again, using the example that you're 55, hey, you did your 30 years, you went out of the district, you want to go do something else, you cannot get your health insurance subsidy until you're 62. All right. And it is $7.50 per year that you work for FRS. So if you work for the 30 years, you can max out at $225 a month. If you're on the pension plan, it'll come to you in your pension, and it'll just get added to your check. And if you're on the investment plan, they will send you a check. All right, just so you know how that works. Again, we talked a little about that. You can keep your existing insurance. It's not like Cobra where you only get 18 months. You get unlimited time, as much as you need. And I talked a little about United Healthcare, 650, $1,300 a month for a couple. So that's where it really starts stacking up. Health. By the way, this is just to pay your premium. This isn't if you needed healthcare. Typically, you're going to see a $4,000 to $5,000 max out of pocket too. So not only is it going to cost you $14,000 a year for healthcare if you're married and you're the primary covering a spouse, but that doesn't include the other $4,000 or $5,000 that you could pay out of pocket max. So healthcare during retirement, and you're not 65 yet, could cost you up to 20 grand a year. Right? So just keep that in mind. So I know a lot of folks that are like, hey, I want to retire tomorrow. I understand. A lot of folks want to retire. School district's not easy. It's end of the year. People are kicking that around in their head. But healthcare is one of the single biggest expenses when you do retire, that could affect your retirement. All right. So again, when you turn 65, you get Medicare, and we talked a little about the plans. All right, let's spend a little more time on that than I typically do. Let's see, how are we looking? All right, so we're about 30 minutes in. So let's talk a little bit about retirement savings. This is your tax sheltered annuities or 401ks if you work for prior companies, things like that. This is where you have to be careful. Again, when you're coming down to Oh, let me share my experience. So my dad called me, or actually his wife called me Sunday morning, and he had had a heart attack Saturday night. So they rushed him to the hospital, and he had heart issues. So they did heart surgery on him, but they put in 3 stents. He already had four, so now he's got 7 stents. He's 84 years old. All right, so, but last time he went in there, he was seeing me for Christmas 5 years ago, and I had to rush him over to the local hospital here at JFK. And his total bill came to $60,000. Same thing. He had to have 2 stents put in. So $50,000. He would have been out of pocket 20%, right? Or $10,000 because he had a supplement, and his is in AA, or his is through AARP, but there's all kinds of supplements, and some are better here in South Florida than AARP, but we'll talk about that later. But he didn't have to pay the 10,000. He is, however, paying $300 a month for his health insurance coverage, but he did not have to pay one single penny out of pocket out of that $50,000, $60,000 bill he got. All right. So this is what I'm saying. If it had been an Advantage plan, there are hospital stay deductibles. Typically, again, there's all kinds of different ones, but I'm just saying on average, if you were using an Advantage plan, you would have had to pay $500, $600 because it was also an ambulance, all that kind of stuff. So that's just to say it is a very important decision. You need to get all your information up front, make the right choice for you. It's hard to go up a level, which is traditional Medicare, but it's easy for you to come down if situation changes and your budget gets tighter. You can switch out and go to an Advantage plan. To go up and go back, you have to go through underwriting, which you may not qualify for, and they do not have to reinstate you. All right. So I think that's important. That's the big distinction between the two. Again, retirement savings, we talked a little about this. So essentially what we want to do is when you retire, we want to take the amount that you have and we want to make sure that it is generating an income for you, right? So I always usually use the analogy of a mountain climber. A lot of folks have spent a lot of time figuring out how to get up the mountain, meaning how you're putting money away, what type of investments you're using for savings. A lot of advisors specialize in that, right? All the folks that come out to your schools and they're doing 403Bs and all this kind of stuff, right? Growth this, growth that. But what happens when you get to the top of the mountain? Well, now you have to do something to figure out how you're going to get income out of it. And that's really what we specialize in. Because it's one thing to get up to the top of the mountain and have whatever amount you have saved, but it's another to say, okay, how can you efficiently turn this income on whatever amount you have and make it last a lifetime and avoid these downturns in the market? Because if you're retired 20, 30 years, today in this last week when the market crashed, I won't call it a crash, but certainly felt like a crash. What do? You're going to experience several of these. And if you have a lot of money exposed and it goes down, you may never dig out of the hole. So that's what our practice specializes in, is figuring out how we can turn on income. And again, we have specialized products that we use for this. So that's how our practice, how we specialize by helping you. All right, Social Security. Um, I want to talk a bit about this. This is another one of the things, though. Social Security, you have to get right because they don't allow you a do-over. All right. So they do allow you a do-over, but you got to pay it all back. So if you started Social Security, I had one lady, unfortunately, she's a school teacher. She's like, well, my neighbor told me that I should go ahead and start getting Social Security. I said, no, you're still working. Don't start Social Security. She was 64, I think. Full retirement age, 67. I go, don't do that because the amount that you're making, you, you're going to have to give it right back. And she goes, no, no, no. My neighbor told me that she's getting money. Long story short, her neighbor wasn't working. Her neighbor had retired early and wasn't earning any money. When you are working and you start your Social Security early, anything over $23,000, they are going to start clawing back your Social Security, right? I explained that to her, but she's like, no, my neighbor's doing it. She's getting an extra $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month, whatever it was. It was driving me crazy a little bit. I was like, well, you asked me for help. I'm trying to help you out here. And then you're kind of telling me your neighbor knows more about it than I do. But what happened is that she got a couple months into it and she's getting checks. She goes, nope, nope, I'm getting my check. I go, okay. I mean, look, I'm not immune to being wrong, right? And then a couple months later, she goes back. She's like, oh, you know what? They want all their money back. I go, yeah, of course they do. I explained to you, you're making $60,000 a year. Anything over at that time, 20,000. For every $2 you make over, you're going to claw back $1. I said, you're making $60,000. So anything up to and including $30,000 a year in Social Security, they were going to claw that back. Now it affected her also because now she's not getting that 8% cost of living increase, right? So please, if you're going to be doing this, you're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, make sure your advisor knows Social Security because this is the single biggest thing. You're going to get Social Security for a lifetime. If you get it wrong, you say, well, it's only $200 a month. That $200 a month added up over your lifetime could equal tens of thousands of dollars. I've seen it equal $100,000 because they start taking it both husband and wife early. And I could talk more about strategies, but just suffice it to say there are efficient ways to go about this, and you want to make sure that you're doing it. All right. So Social Security, the other thing about this, and this was done last year in August. They do this every year. They take a snapshot of Social Security. There are 68,000 people getting Social Security. I'm sorry, 68 million. And the average check is $1,783. Now, what this did not include are the 3 million more people that were working for the federal government that they just are allowing to get Social Security. So that bumps it up to 71 million. Plus, whatever, again, I'm not getting political, but I'm just saying that whatever they issued Social Security numbers or however they're doing that, hopefully that mess gets cleaned up. But I just know that there's a lot more people now getting Social Security than there were. And at the end of the day, that just means that Social Security is going bankrupt quicker. At 2035, the Social Security Administration will be officially bankrupt. Now, Does that mean you're not going to get your check? No, please. Don't let people scare you thinking that Social Security is going to go away. You need to start taking it as soon as you can because they're not going to be there next year. That's not the case. Assuming the U.S. government's going to be around, they're always going to have Social Security. No, neither side of the aisle has talked about getting rid of Social Security, right? So if you're listening to the news and they try to scare you, just put that out of your head because that's not the way it works. The Social Security analysis, though, that's again one of the complementary analysis that we will do for you. When to start your benefit, how to coordinate your benefit between you and your spouse. Maybe your spouse starts before you do. And there's also, in a nutshell, in a perfect world, this is the way it works. If a husband and wife are the same age, same retirement age, they've got the same Social Security, 9 times out of 10, what we'd want to do is take the females, the woman's Social Security first, and then extend the man's Social Security until age 70. Again, in a perfect world, I'm just kind of give you a quick example of why we do this. Because we know that women outlive men. And so if the husband dies and he's at the higher benefit amount, the wife now gets the higher benefit because they waited on the husband. In a perfect world, again, we'll do this analysis for you or have your advisor do it for you because there is you got to coordinate the two benefits, and it's good to know why you're doing something, but also how it can affect you in retirement. All right. So this is just one page out of it. It's probably 50 pages long, but this is the important thing. This is really what you want to know. It's kind of the break even. So if you started taking it today versus waiting until age 70, we always get this question. If I start Social Security today and I waited, when's the break even? It really is determined by the chart, but by and large, it's 76 to 78 on average. You'd make more if you waited and you live past age 78, 76. So again, this is a good thing to have. More information is always better, especially when you're putting all this together. And again, the main reason why we talk about that is because Social Security is one of those things that you start once and there are no do-overs. All right, so lifestyle changes. I don't know. I'd probably say 25% of people talk about pickleball these days. Then this is probably a converted tennis court. Most of the communities have been pulling out tennis courts and putting in pickleball, but it's a lot less stress and it's a good way to get out and enjoy it. Also, when you're finally getting ready to retire, you need to set up goals for yourself, right? A lot of folks want to take their grandkids on cruises. Obviously, there's a Carnival cruise, but when you're getting close to retirement, you need to factor in fun stuff. You've worked by and large most of you 30 plus years. You want to make sure that you're able to enjoy year 31 and 32 and get out there and do something, whether it's travel, or maybe you've got weddings to go to or go see, lost cousins, uncles, aunts, whatever the case is. But this is the time you want to do it because once you hit in your 80s, the last thing you want to do is say, oh, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. And by and large, when you get into your 80s, you start running into health issues, whether it's hips, knees. I'd probably say, I don't know, probably 20%, maybe more of the clients I have that are 80 and plus have had hip replacements, knee replacements, all that kind of stuff. So, you want to do that stuff. You want to plan for it. You want to take advantage of it. And by the way, when we do income planning for folks, if there's something you want to do when you first retire, and we always suggest you take a little bit more out when you first retire. And then when you get older, you're going to take less by default. I mean, you're going to eat, you're going to do some things, but you're not going to have a lot of expenses when you're in your 80s, as if you were when you're traveling in your early 60s, mid 60s. So again, I want to take advantage of that and do that. Again, this is the income analysis that we will do if you want to set up a time. You will get an email as soon as we end this that has a link to my calendar. I might have mentioned that my calendar fills up pretty quick. My staff and I, we run these, and it is complimentary, so you don't pay for anything. But if you don't have a snapshot, please, my suggestion is first start here because you need to figure out whether or not your income or you need to make adjustments, whether you're taking too much risk. Um, just as an aside, so I was talking to a lady, I'd say about a month ago. I was talking to her school teacher, investment plan. However, she was in California, right? So I work with school teachers sometimes out of FRS as well. And she had 100% of hers in high risk stocks, right? It had done extremely well. However, she was right there teetering on the edge because if she had lost more than 10%, she would have to go back and work another year. And I explained to her, I said, look, I didn't realize you had so much in stock. She finally gave me her statement and I pulled it apart. And it's like, you've got a lot of the NVIDIAs, the Teslas. I go, these things are pretty volatile. And for you being 65 years old, looking at to retire here in the next 2 months, I go, you are way out of line as far as risk. I said, you need to like sell all of this, put it in fixed income that's paying you 4%, because as of right now, she had a 90% chance of success with the money she had saved. If she went down by 10%, it dropped 10% for every 10% the market went. So it went from 90, it went down to 80, it was down to 75 last time I talked to her. Today it's probably up. She's like, well, I guess I'll just work another year. If we work with you and it shows that you can get out of the rat race, I suggest you get out of the rat race. You don't know what can happen tomorrow. So we'll do all this analysis with you. We don't do it for you. I mean, we do it with you. We work with you to do it. But how relieved would you be if you knew that you could kick your feet up on the desk and whether the market goes up 20% tomorrow or down 20% tomorrow, your retirement is risk-free and worry-free, right? That's the main goal. You work 30 years trying to put money aside. The golden egg is the money that you've saved and whatever you're getting on the investment plan or pension plan. You want to make sure that money's going to last you. But if the amount, and you've got a TSA and we're doing all these things, and you have the amount, the magic amount to get you to 90 plus percent, you want to basically take that amount, whatever it was, to get you to 90%. Now, if you still have leftovers, some people have extra money, right? You can invest that. But my suggestion is you take whatever you need to live on for the rest of your life and you secure it. There's no magic pill to do this. There's no magic wand. You just take it out of the market. The market can instantly, again, turn on you. And that's what I told her. I said, again, today is the market's come up quite a bit, so maybe she's in good shape, but she's already resigned to having to work another year. And I felt bad for her. I said, well, there's nothing really you can do to get that money back except now wait. But I will say that if the market goes down this whole year by 25%, now you're working another 2.5 years, right? So I know I'm trying to emphasize that because it's kind of, I felt bad for the lady. Um, there's only so much I can do. But she wanted to stay in the market because she thought it was still going to go up. But anyhow, those are some of the things that you have to watch out for. All right, so that's one of the things we do for you. Retiring early, and I have a whole nother workshop that talks about the financial side of retiring early. If you want to see that, that's on our YouTube page. By the way, for those of you who found us on YouTube, just if you would just click the subscribe because as I go through here and I put up new videos, if I do a new one on retiring in 2025 or retiring early in 2025, you'll get notified. You can jump on there and watch it. A lot of times things like this pop up there, and that way you'll be notified if you want. For every year that you work and you're over roughly 25 years time in service, you'll get $100 more in your retirement if you're on the pension plan. All right, so that's important. I get that asked a lot. Now, if you're in drop, actually, I think I have a slide for drop. Yeah. So if you have drop, remember, if you're in drop, your pension's still getting paid to you. It's just not coming to you as a check. It's going into a separate account, your drop account, but you are getting paid that amount. So what you're missing out if you're in drop and you retire a year early, you're missing out on your salary. You're not missing out on your pension. You're still getting your pension, but you are missing out on your salary, right? So again, there's a magic number. We do an analysis for you and say, oh, sometimes people are surprised. Like, again, I met a lady a couple months ago. I said, you know what? Between what you have and your husband has, and the amount that you have put aside, I said, you can go ahead and retire this year. She's like, really? I go, yes, you can retire this year. You're out just a little bit of money by not working the rest of the year, but you could retire this year. She was so relieved, and she's planning on retiring this year. So, and the other thing is paying for medical if you're under age 65. And remember, you get the health insurance subsidy, so it's really not that bad, right? So if you retire at 64, you're like, I just can't deal with another year. Um, Talk to your advisor, come see us, figure out a game plan because sometimes you can retire a year early or retire at the end of the year. And there are strategies for that as well. So if you are going to retire, again, some principals don't like what I'm about to ready to tell you, but if you're going to retire and you don't tell your principal and you work one day into the new school, by the way, this I got from Ernie Camarino for those of you who used to work here in Palm Beach County. Um, you really want to work the first school day that kids are in, and you'll get paid all of your benefits throughout summer. And then you can go ahead and retire. You'll collect all your benefits for August. You also get your healthcare coverage covered for August, and then you'll start your Medicare beginning of September. All right. So again, if you were thinking about this, talk to us. We have strategies to help you kind of navigate best way to do that, because you want to get your benefits throughout the summer. And then, you can decide come August, say, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to tough it out another year. Maybe not tough it out another year. You're going to pull the plug. But I will say that principals want to know so they can fill your slot, right? And, there's plenty of folks that are in tight with their principals. There's plenty of folks that hate the principals and wouldn't give them, a dollar. So, it all depends on your strategy. Talk to us. We can help you navigate the strategy. Whether or not you talk to the principal or not, that's totally up to you. But anyhow, there are strategies to leaving early or waiting to see if you really want to work another year. There is a strategy to that. And again, to finalize some of this as far as the tax side, the tax planning side. Remember, I talked about there are efficient ways to take money out. In this particular example, and this, again, this is an illustration, but it was a live example. By planning out tax efficiently taking money out, we were able to save this client about $70,000 in taxes if they had just started taking out money sooner than later. And it just all has to do with the tax bands. So we certainly we do this for clients as well. All right. So some of the things we do is we show you how to increase Social Security. Certainly make it efficient on you. Could save you thousands of dollars in taxes by taking money out efficiently and also using tax efficient investments. And our main goal here, though, is to make sure you don't run out of money. Remember the chart that we show you, we want to make sure that we keep you in the green. And we want to make sure that we have enough time to make any adjustments to your plan as needed. If you're retiring in May, certainly don't have a lot of time to make any adjustments, and nor do you have a lot of time to save a lot more money in retirement. So this is ideally the best case scenario. And learn from the past, think about the future, but live in the now. Again, when you retire, you want to make sure that you are planning things to do. Again, the things that you're going to get from us if you decide to talk to us is a Social Security, income planning, Roth conversion guide. Next step is to schedule. You're going to get an email with a link on it. You could go to this link here and I could pop it into the chat, but I think most of you are more than happy to schedule things just as soon as you get the email. And let me jump over to Q&A. All right. So Carrie said, I'm at the age of, oh, okay, full Social Security at age 67. Does that affect me when I can get Medicare, or can I still get it at 65? Yeah, you still get Medicare at 65. It's a totally different system. Medicare is for your health care. Social Security is for basically retirement income. Um, you, in theory, can start it at age 62, but for every year that you wait, it goes up by 8%. So if you can wait until age 67, 68, 69, 70, that it's always best for you to wait. Now, it's not always a perfect world, and you may need the money, right, when you retire. But Medicare is handled separately. Again, we talked about that, whether you get the Advantage plan or traditional Medicare. At 65, if you're still working, you get it for free. Even after you stop working, Part A is free, Part B is the part you pay for. So yes, really depends. Again, you just need to figure out when you should start because that determines your best bang for your buck. All right, if that makes sense. Um, all right, let's see. Any other questions here? Let me pop the Q&A up again. Um, yeah, I covered that in a couple of slides. All right, so this one, the the retire early. I have another. I think it's about 15 minutes long. So if you're thinking about retiring early, either come talk to us, John, or you can go to our YouTube page. Again, you're going to get our YouTube page. You're going to get an email right after this workshop. It is going to contain, or it's going to have a link to our YouTube page, and it'll also have a link to our calendar. So if you want to talk to us, more than happy to do that. And also, I had another question. If you are widowed or widower, you can start. Typically, the way it would work is if you want to maximize your benefits, you would want to get the widow or widower benefits. You can start those at age 60. You don't have to wait to age 62 to get your Social Security benefit there. And the strategy there is that you wait to get your benefit at age 70. So you start getting your widow or widower benefit at age 60, and then you wait, and yours is going to increase 8% for every year that you wait. At age 70, now you turn on your benefit, and that will give you the maximum amount out of it. So, all right, well, I think we're about time. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Remember, the estate planning, I always get a lot of questions about that. On the email that you received to sign up for today's workshop, there is a link at the bottom there that says estate planning. Please go and watch that. Take advantage. He does a great job, and that workshop is specifically for teachers and educators in FRS. So it's going to be very specific to your needs. And it'll describe whether or not you need what kind of estate plan you need, or whether or not you even need one. All right. So again, thank you, everybody. Look forward to seeing you on the next call, and have a good night.